Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and as you can see in front of you today, we get to do a Mattel review. It feels like it's been forever since we've had a Mattel review just because there hasn't been much coming out recently in the United States, and specifically in my area, but luckily, I was able to acquire this guy, the basic Proceratosaurus, from Amazon.com. However, it didn't come without some kind of chicanery because it did take quite a while for me to get one, as I had initially ordered it and Amazon canceled my order for no reason whatsoever, and then I had to order it again the next time it popped up for sale, and this time, shockingly, they actually came through and delivered this figure. I've been looking for this figure relentlessly since I had first seen images of it pop up online a few months ago, and I was having just the hardest time, couldn't find it at any Kohl's, and of course the Amazon issue was definitely a hassle, but luckily I now have it, and I will say that it is really quite nice in person. However, I'm sure by now you've probably been able to take note of the fact that the tail is ridiculously short. I mean, it is on the Attack Pack versions as well, but for some reason it just looks so much more ridiculous on this larger basic version. So, starting out straight away, getting out the downside and just throwing it out there to you guys, the tail is ridiculously short. I really wish they would have made the tail quite a bit longer. But regardless, the rest of the figure does look quite fun, and I am excited to take a look at it with you guys. We'll take the figure out here just for a second, and we'll bring the box in. As you can see, it does say Proceratosaurus right there, Dino Rivals, and we've got a shot, an epic shot of the Rex roaring, and of course Jurassic World there. I couldn't wait to look at it as I had waited so long to get this figure, so I did take it out of the box ahead of time. You can see a very cool image of the Proceratosaurus here on the side, along with a little bit more of the information. And then on the back, as far as this wave goes, you've got the Proceratosaurus, the Pachycephalosaurus, the Dilophosaurus, and the Lost World style Velociraptor. Nothing really else going on the box. Still fun, looks like all the other Dino Rivals basic figure boxes, but now in Proceratosaurus form. Definitely a fun box, but the figure is what we are really interested in, so let's go ahead and get a closer look. So starting up here at the head sculpt, you can see the head sculpt is really incredible. One thing that I can say consistently about these Mattel figures is that I think the basic figures are just beautiful every single time. I feel like they really put a lot into pretty much all the sculpts of the figures, but the basic ones, due to the fact that they're a good bit larger, are really beautifully sculpted. Gives them a lot more room to actually sculpt in and include detail, and I think that is definitely shining through here on the Proceratosaurus. I feel like the head sculpt is really nice. You can see lots of very nice scaling. The detail all around the eye is really quite incredible. You can see an obvious seam here that runs along the length of the top of the head where the crested area is applied, and that's a little bit of a downside, but honestly I don't think it's that bad. Although I will say that the coloration of this entire area here is much too bright as far as the red goes. I feel like it's a pretty unrealistic reddish coloration, a little too bright than what I would deem a natural looking color on an animal like this, but I've never seen a Proceratosaurus in person, so I could be wrong. You can see the nostrils are sculpted out up here, and you do have the teeth down here that run along the jawline, and unfortunately, as with all the basic figures, there is no paint on the teeth, but due to the fact that the dinosaur's primary body color is like this whitish coloration, it kind of appears as though the teeth are painted just because they are now white. The eye looks fantastic over here. You can see that the eye is beautifully painted, and it has a very nice, very realistic looking gloss that shines and glistens in the light in a very natural way. But if we look at the opposing side, you can see that this eye is just massacred due to this blue paint, and I don't know how or why. I don't know if maybe that's some of the paint from the eye being chipped off, or if that's just sloppiness from this bluish paint being applied. I don't know exactly. However, this side does look quite bad, but the opposing side looks really beautiful. I don't see that being something that everyone will have happen to them if they order this figure, but it's a little bit of a downside for mine specifically. As you start to look along the neckline here, you can see lots of very nice scale work and some osteoderms here and there. There's actually quite a bit as far as osteoderms go all throughout the dinosaur. You've got some nice creases here in the neck as you move down into the shoulder area. You can see again lots of nice osteoderms and stuff all over, and this very large scaling type of an appearance that it has here. The shoulder blade is slightly present there. As you come down into the arms of the Proceratosaurus, you can see some nice creases in the skin. As you run down along the arm, you get down into the hands, they do look really incredible. There is no paint on the nails, of course, but it does have a slight gloss to give it a fairly realistic appearance. I think the sculpts of the hands and the arms look really nice, and you can again see this kind of speckled appearance with this darker coloration. It looks like a dark black or a darker blue, and it's kind of all over the place, something Mattel does tend to do, which I really do quite like, as it gives quite a bit of paint variation when you don't have too much paint otherwise. You can see again some creases in the skin here in the stomach, and those large scales and the kind of osteoderms all over the place, again all over the animal. As you come down the leg, you can definitely pick up on some very nice, very fine detailing. There's the calf muscles that are really quite nicely present. The feet look beautiful, in my opinion. I think they look really nice. You can see again the nails here on the feet have that slight glossy appearance like you saw in the claws of the hand. The dew claw is present, but it's kind of got that speckled type of a look all throughout the nails, everywhere, honestly, on this animal. It does have that going on, and that's just due to that color variation that Mattel does with the speckling all over the bodies of their figures. And then as you come up here, you can again pick up on the osteoderms and that large, very rough looking scaling. And then we run out the length of the tail, and again the tail is just unreasonably short. One of the biggest downsides, actually I would say the biggest downside to this figure, is the much shorter tail. If I had some good sculpting ability, I would sculpt a new tail to apply to this figure, because I think if the tail were longer, this would really be incredible looking. And then if we look at the opposing side, due to this being in a very neutral position for the most part, everything really looks quite the same on this side as you saw on the opposing side. I do like the coloration of it. You can see this blue looks really nice, and it's beautifully applied. It looks very naturally applied, and the coloration of the body itself is like this very nice light whitish, and that does also look really good. It's almost like a off-white kind of. You can see the arms are a slightly different shade of color than the rest of the body. The legs actually are not, but when you get down to the ankles, the feet are a slightly different shade, similar to what you see on the arms. But otherwise, I think that the coloration looks really nice. Again, the red up here is a bit too bright, I think, but it also looks pretty good. The color is very similar to the Mattel Coelurus, I think, but I really do quite like the paint scheme. As far as articulation goes, you do have the articulation of the arms. Both arms move really nicely. The articulation in the legs at the hip joint, and then you've of course got articulation in the ankles, which does swivel. You also have articulation in the tail, so it can move up, down, left, or right, and swivel as usual with the Mattel figures. But that's it. Again, with these basic figures, you don't get the articulated jaw or anything like that. As far as a size goes, being a basic figure, you know it's really going to be large, so from the head to the unreasonably short tail, you're looking at about 12 inches, pretty much on the dot, or about 31 centimeters. And as far as a height goes, from the ground to the head, about 7 inches, maybe a little more, or about 18 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, and you can see next to the Papo Rex that this is definitely a large figure, because he is significantly larger than even the Papo Rex. Due to that short tail, he looks a little ridiculous, but the size is really quite impressive, and is an overall beautiful looking figure. It's really quite a lot of bang for your buck, I will say that. So as far as this Mattel basic Proceratosaurus, I really quite like it. I think it's a beautiful looking figure. The sculpt and detail is incredibly well done. The only downside that I can truly say with it, aside from the slight sloppiness with the eye, is this short tail. The short tail really is distracting for me and almost ruins the figure, honestly. But if you can get past the short tail, it truly is a spectacular looking sculpt. As far as the detail goes, it is truly off the charts when it comes to just how well sculpted and well detailed, especially the minute detailing like those very large bumpy scales, those osteoderms and stuff all over the body. They look incredible on this figure for sure. I think the paint scheme looks really good on this. It definitely looks great on a Proceratosaurus. It's all really beautifully applied, very naturally applied. I'm a big fan of that light whiter coloration that they've used here for the figure itself, as far as the primary body color, I think the red does look good on the head, but I think maybe a slightly darker shade would have looked better and a good bit more natural in my opinion. However, I do still think that it looks really nice. The only area of sloppiness as far as the paint is the left eye, but that's just kind of probably a freak occurrence that I'm sure wasn't meant to occur, and it's just an issue that I'm stuck with on mine. However, I'm probably going to pick up another one of these at some point to repaint just because the sculpt is so good, and I do want to see what one looks like repainted. So if the other one that I pick up has a nicer looking eye, then I'll probably end up repainting this one. So without question, I love the basic figures from Mattel, and this is just another one to add onto that list of basic figures that I am absolutely in love with. I really do like this figure. Even with the shorter tail, it's still an absolutely fantastic looking figure, and I love the Proceratosaurus in general, so it's great to have a basic version here from Mattel. I really did not expect it, to be honest. When it comes to these basic figures, it seems like they usually give them to the more mainstream Jurassic World dinosaurs, so for a figure to be made of a Proceratosaurus, which is a species that has not even made an appearance in any of the films, that's really cool and something that I was really excited about. So if you do want to pick this up, I will include a link to Amazon in the description where I purchased mine. Again, there's no guarantee that they'll actually deliver through on your order because they did cancel mine once. However, I think there's a pretty good chance, as it seems to be more consistently available now than when it was when I had initially ordered it. So hopefully if you do place the order for it, you'll actually get a hold of one of these because they are really cool. So check the description, head on over to Amazon, place your order for this incredibly cool basic Proceratosaurus from Mattel. But before you do that, don't forget to please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.